All right, Eric came back over this morning to do the next mods on his car. He has a CSF Intercooler and high performance radiator. So we're gonna install these guys, and we got some coolant, of course, because that will need to be replaced after disconnecting all this stuff. All right, the first step is to lift your car, at least the front of it, so you can get to underneath the front bumper. And we're gonna try this install by leaving the front bumper on, but we will definitely need to remove this plastic belly pan panel here. So it's just got a ton of these, I think they're still 8mm screws all around it, so just take all those off. All right, we're gonna start by removing this so we can get down to the fan. These are T20 bolts. And one more little piece down here to remove.
Yeah, the intercooler screws are like sitting right behind here, so I'm just gonna go ahead and take this off.
Amelia, you coming to help? You coming to help?
We got two T25 screws holding the intercooler on. This is water. And then I'm gonna undo the C-clips up here on this side. And then one on this side. Should be able to wiggle this guy free. Oh, it's starting. There we go. All right, so Saint. Alright.
Now get ready for leaves and crap to fall on it.
Yes. Get out of the way. Should drop right out.
Yeah, look at that little tiny guy.
Yeah. It's a little boy.
Just gotta make sure you repo the C-clips from your old intercooler to reuse on the new one. All right, next we're gonna go ahead and start draining the coolant out of here. The drain plug for the radiator is under the intercooler, so you gotta remove that first to get to it.
And the drain plug is this green thing. All you need is a flathead. Take out the blue screw in there. Really big flathead.
I'm gonna get the bottom of that screwdriver inside the bucket so you can. Watch the waterfall begin. Alright. Go for it. Oh yeah, splashed down. Drains pretty slowly though, so that's good.
That is really slow. Do I need to open the cap up?
Open the cap. Here, I'll open the cap and see what happens. I can hear it coming out. Man, this thing's on.
I was expecting like a huge scratch.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Laminar flow.
Coming faster now? Eh.
Yeah, much better.
All right. Oh, sorry, Billy. There you go. All right, it's been draining for a little while. It's like an old man stopping and starting. Little piddle left here.
Yeah.
All right, while that's draining, we're gonna go ahead and get this fan out of the way.
So I guess there's only one screw in the top passenger corner of the car.
Yeah, I think it's a T20. That is a T25. It's tucked down here.
Oops, sorry.
Under these hoses. Don't drop it. Pressure.
T25.
And then we will disconnect this here from the overflow tank. It just has a little tiny C-clip on it. Just lift that up and you can pull that right off. And then just unclip it from along the top of the fan. Move that out of the way. And the other side has like this little clip. Oh yeah, there's an electrical connection. You gotta take that out. For a stronger man, this is not a problem.
Can't put my finger in there for this one.
Don't worry, we can edit this out for you and make it look like you got it right away.
Oh, there you go. Just gotta press it was really hard to get my finger in there because it was right up against the shroud. Alright. Get that out of the way.
And then I think there's a little clip down there that is holding it in. Yeah, you just press on that little, you see it? Yeah.
I think when we pull off on the pad. See if it's at least loose. Yeah, so when that little tab, when I pulling up, I just pulled towards the back of the car, then lifted at the same time. It came unclipped.
And just slowly work it out. Okay, so underneath the fan here, you can see that this lower charge pipe has this little rubber grommet type thing that looks like it's stuck in a, this camera up here. It's like stuck in a little groove in the fan shroud. And if you pull the pipe away from the fan, it looks like that thing will come out. Okay, so this little rubber gasket thing, I actually just pushed the charge pipe up and it came out of that little gasket thing. So the charge pipe isn't connected to it anymore. It's still kind of in the way. Yeah, if you pull up, it just pulls the gasket back into it. So you gotta have to come down, move this clip out of the way. Oh, there you go. Okay, so now once the charge pipe is unclipped from here, now can you pull the radiator up? The bottom of it. bottom of it is hitting this clip. So.
Oh.
All right, up and away. All right, time to get the radiator out. There are a couple screws holding it in, T25. One. Whee. Number 2's on the passenger side. Passenger side one is really tricky to reach. All right, now for the 2 hoses that are connected to the radiator. The upper one, they both have a C-clip. Just to release it and then pull the hose off. So I should probably do this first before we take the bolts out so that it will be held in place. You get more leverage on twisting this off. So we learned it's easier to try to remove these hoses before you remove the bolts so that the radiator is still bolted into place when you have to put a lot of pressure on this. All right, so any video that shows this just easily coming off is full of lies. This thing is tough. Oh man, holy cow.
What?
All right.
I just kind of looked at it. I was like, oh, it kind of looks loose. And now it's popped off.
Yeah, there's no big secret. Just keep pulling and prying until it finally comes apart. All right, now for the passenger side one. It's harder to reach, but same C-clip and same type of connection.
All right, let's see what happens.
Good luck. This one you can at least wiggle a little more because it's got less stuff attached to it. Disconnected. Only advice is don't give up. Don't ever give up.
It'll stone eventually.
Let's take breaks and fight it till the death. Okay. And as you tilt it towards the drain, the rest of the fluid's going to come out.
Waiting for a couple more seconds.
All right, once it's mostly stopped, go ahead and take this out the rest of the way. Yeah, we've got it reinstalled. It's so skinny, it seems like it should just come right out.
Right?
All right, so underneath the car, Eric is pulling from the top and I'm pushing this thing from the bottom. We're kind of getting hung up over here on those 2 silver AC lines, and just pushing it with a little more force kind of pushed them over to the side a little bit to give us some access. And we got some more drainage, so I'm just stopping to take a video of this. And when it stops some more, we can keep working this thing. Is it, it's not caught on there. Is it caught on that pipe at the very top? It's a hard ABS. I can push harder and it'll probably go over it. Just don't want to get stuck anywhere else.
Pull it up.
All right, here we go. I think that, yeah, I think there's some lines up in here. Let me zoom in a little more.
Go back towards the back of the car down here.
Yeah. All right, just a lot of wiggling back and forth and pushing, and we finally got it loose. Whew. All right, now that that is out of there, let's see what the brand new one looks like. I just hope the edges are a little bit slimmer so we can slide it in.
Yeah, maybe it'll be metal and metal would be easier.
All right, little side-by-side comparison here. It's definitely thicker.
Yeah, it's a lot. Maybe a little bit. Yeah. It's supposed to be a triple pass, I don't know. Hopefully it does good stuff.
Yeah, you would hope that their CSF was on the front, but it's still going to be covered up.
Yeah, it is.
All right, now for the exciting part. We'll see if it fits inside. So this is a tedious job of just going back and forth and slowly working it down in because it keeps getting hung up on little things. What?
Do y'all want something to eat?
I'm okay.
You good?
I'll take something, sure.
Okay.
Thanks, Ray.
Come on.
Radiator in. Eric's putting a little plastic trim piece on top. So the only thing was it was getting caught on that little hook for the charge pipe at first. So just had to move that out of the way. Then it was getting caught on the AC lines a little bit. We just stuck a screwdriver in there and pried this side a little bit to push the lines out of the way, and it dropped right in. So it was much easier putting it in than getting the old one out. Hey, baby.
Hi.
That was delicious. Thank you, by the way.
Is Eric still not hungry?
Yeah, I'm
Eric,
okay.
Eric, it's delicious.
Get ready to put the kitchen away.
It's delicious.
I appreciate
the
it.
Panera style sandwich? Maybe
Yeah.
better than Panera?
It's better than Panera.
Okay. I appreciate it.
Yes? No? What's the answer?
He says yes.
Okay, I'll make one.
All right, we're starting back on the top, and we're going to put the two bolts back in to hold the radiator in first before attaching the hoses. And we highly recommend you not drop them down into there because we just fought a 15-minute battle with that. All right, so we started attaching these screws. This one seemed to be pretty easy to line up, but the one on the other side is definitely not perfectly lined up. So we had to push this thing back and forth, and ended up just attaching this one like we can, and this one, once we start threading it, it goes in kind of a little angle. So we're just gonna do the best we can with it. Okay, so we finally got this screw in there, and what we had to do, because this radiator seems too long, is I have this tool that I just bought that actually spreads brake calipers, is what it's supposed to do. So I wedged it in beside the radiator and the wall over here and pressed it to push the radiator this way to give us access to that hole. So this is the tool I'm talking about. It's the first time I've used it, but it just works like a ratchet and opens and presses out. like you're pushing the pistons in your caliper in. All right, now we just have to put our hoses back on, the C-clips. Got this one pressed on. Just needs the C-clip over here. Oh, you already got the C-clip over there.
Oh yeah.
It's black on it, you can't see it. Yep, so these are back on with the C-clips, nice and sturdy. All right, drop the fan back in. And those little tabs are gonna fall into these little slots on the new radiator. In theory, still's got a ways to go. This side still has to go quite a ways. This side's mostly done now. There we go.
I think it needs to go to the driver's side a little bit.
All right, yeah, so you gotta take out the hardware that's right here that comes with it, because that's the hardware you're gonna use to bolt that in. And then the
It's pretty close. The other side went inside the bracket.
tab should drop inside your bracket. After attaching this bolt here at the top corner of the fan, we've pushed it as far this way as we can, and it is barely. And as you can see down here, this is the little plastic notch that is supposed to sit on the driver's side where you can tighten it down, and it is barely long enough to sit on that edge. All right, and where this sits down in the bracket here, we also tightened that nut down there. So you can just start snapping all of this stuff back into place. Reattach our hoses.
Easy peasy. Oh, connected.
And
So the CSF kit came with all this hardware. So it came with new C-clips, some rubber grommets, and then these two studs and these nuts. So basically what's gonna happen is we're gonna get the nuts started all the way like this, and then we'll drive it into the stock mounting location. And then the intercooler will go on here with the rubber grommet, and then the nut goes on the very bottom after we drive it in.
yeah, they definitely need more secure mounting, because this thing is freaking ridiculously heavy compared to the stock one. You're definitely not saving any weight.
Alright, so after we drive that all the way in, bottom and out, we'll take the 10mm screw back off. So we'll save that and do the other one. Alright, so that's ready to go.
All right, we're gonna put coolant back into the system now. Got the BMW antifreeze and some distilled water to mix 50-50. I got faith in you. Oh, look at that.
Oh, I was lucky. Pretty close.
And
That's 2 quarts. Oh wow, actually never mind. I need to go more.
yeah, 1 gallon.
So before I fill it up, so I don't forget, I'm gonna open up the bleeder valve, or the screw. Don't have to take it all the way off, but I'm just gonna leave it so it can vent.
Now we're gonna fill this up with the coolant water mixture.
A
Funnel?
Yes.
All right, it's a So the 135 and a lot of modern BMWs have a super cool way to fill this up. It automatically runs and bleeds the system for you. So first you just gotta put the coolant in. And nothing dripping down there yet, so that's a good sign. All right, fill up your jug the rest of the way with distilled water, and you got another gallon of 50-50 mix to take home with you. There's the dipstick. So it's about full now. All right, so we're gonna put our cap back on and tighten it, but leave the bleeder valve open so air can escape. Just try to keep it a little tighty since some coolant's gonna sputter out. Okay, so let's see how this is supposed to work. We've never done this yet, but it should work.
All right, so key in and then ignition on, but don't start the car. And then you'll turn your heat all the way up on both sides. Your fan setting to the lowest setting, and then hold the throttle pedal down for 10 seconds and it should start.
Ooh, I heard it.
So now you can hear the water pump starting. So it'll start doing its bleed process. Leave everything on for the time being.
Yeah, just get out of the car. I don't hear it anymore. Yeah, after we got out, we didn't hear anything, so let's try it a second time. This time we're gonna leave the door open. Definitely hear it start. I can hear, yep, I can hear fluid moving through the system.
So this process should take about 12-ish minutes.
Okay, so maybe the secret is leaving the door open. Ooh, hey, there we go.
A little bit of dribble action there. Not why that was speed. Is that all from the bleeder?
I don't see water coming out anywhere else. Just gonna keep an eye on everything here.
She's not leaking under here.
Make sure none of our connections that we fitted are leaking anywhere. Ooh-yah. Hey, hey-o, hey-o.
Okay, I don't know how people did it with the actual cap off.
Yeah, it's definitely messy. That was supposed to push all the air out, not all the coolant out.
You know what? I am a little worried now. I had that thought. I was laying there.
All right, so we've read both ways. Either some people say you're supposed to leave them both closed, some people say you're supposed to leave them both open, some people say just to crack it a little bit. Leaving the bleeder screw open at the beginning didn't seem right because we had so much freaking coolant everywhere. Now with it open just a little bit of air is escaping, I think, and our coolant is more under control. So if you know what the right way is, comment below. All right, since this was such a disaster the first time, it actually kept running for about 25 minutes, so we had to actually stop it. So we took the lid off, and this was mostly empty, so we topped it back up, tightened this lid, just have this cracked, and started the process again, and it's gone much smoother so far. It's not shooting anything out, and we can hear some air escaping. So the second time with this, it ended up running for 20 minutes and it still didn't stop, so we stopped it.
Yeah, it looked like it took, so I'm just tightening the bleeder screw, and then I'm gonna see how much went down. Actually, that's not too bad. It's not quite full, so I'm gonna go ahead and top it off. floats all the way at the top, so it's full. Yeah, just have to push the fan out of the way a little bit.
Is it not going up higher?
No.
Looks like it's hitting this bracket in here.
The plastic thing?
Yeah.
Alright, drop it back down.
Yeah, so we found out that this piece here and this piece here are in the way. Some people have removed this for decorative purposes, but it actually is in the way of this intercooler. So we're gonna cut this off. So
All right, I'm gonna go straight up with it.
I'm giving Eric this tool to use for the first time.
Oh God,
It's loud.
we'll see what happens. There she goes.
Okay, more plug and play lies. So here's our, I think, a little temperature sensor here. And the intercooler was hitting the plastic that is holding this. So I kind of had to pull it out a little bit and jam the intercooler up underneath that thing, but it just barely fits that way. This side did not have that problem. So we got our big rubber grommet washer on underneath, and then the nut, and then do the same thing on the other side over here. Yeah, and if we didn't trim the crap out of that plastic piece, there's no way this would have fit in there. Also, if we want to put this grill back on, we're gonna have to cut these off because it'd be too deep and it would hit the intercooler. Put our big old hoses back on. Okay, that little clip that's on the charge pipe is hitting the fan, and we never reconnected it back there. We took that rubber grommet off.
So now it's actually hitting the fan.
So we pushed this tube in, the lower charge pipe in further this direction to get the clip to bypass the fan shroud there, so it's not getting blocked by that anymore. Ideally, we would have just snipped it off because we're not using it, so that it'll connect, and that will hopefully give us enough room on the bottom to connect this to the intercooler, because it was way far off, and for the last hour we've been trying to figure out how to connect this. Okay, so
Not as close as the other side, but it's better than before.
So yeah, it's pretty not a great fit. We wish the intercooler would have gone up higher to get closer to this thing. But getting it pressed in so so we can clip it is a serious pain. So to get it a little more slack, we're going to try to loosen this elbow up and slide the elbow towards the front of the car and reclamp it to give it a few more millimeters of space.
Pull it back a little bit. It's all scratchy.
Holy balls. Oh man, we finally got that in. That was a legit hour-and-a-half struggle.
With this one side.
Yeah. So what'd you think it was?
So I think the problem with this side is the charge pipe angle is a little bit funky, and I don't know if it's the intercooler or what, but I think there's a step down in there for the O-ring on the charge pipe to go in to create a seal. And what it was doing was the angle wasn't quite right, so I had to like really bend this rubber hose kind of like straight and then kind of slot it in and then push it in. Before I think the O-ring was starting to get kinked up in there, so it wouldn't clip.
Should we take it off and try again just to see if that's
No. I'm not.
All right, now for the big test. We're gonna start this thing and see if anything blows up. Oh, get in these race seats. 3, 2, 1. Nice little coolant overdose. It smells good.
A lot better than it tastes.
Now all that's left is the pain of putting all of our underbody panels back on with our graveyard of 8mm screws down there. All right, so that's pretty much it. It took about all day to put in the radiator and intercooler. So these parts were marketed as direct plug and play, but on the 135i, we had to do, as you saw, a lot of modifications. It's really tough to get it to fit and finally have all of the connections right. So we're curious if you guys have tried this with the CSF parts and what your results were. Let me know down in the comments. Let me know if you guys have been successful or if it's been a really tough fit like we went through. For earlier access and some deeper content, please follow me at patreon.com/helpmediy. Join me there and help support the channel. All money from Patreon supporters goes directly back into the channel for more content.